he was Jewish, but he was Giur, basically.
Converted.
Exactly. Now, before his father's name was Antipatris, and originally Antipatris during the war of Julius Caesar against Pompey Magnus. This is the
Just a minute, מבצע Antipatros, it's...
exactly
Is
under
it?
the name of father of King Herod.
Okay.
So Antipatris was a high official, and he was somehow connected with the priesthood of the goddess Aphrodite in the temple of Ashkelon, meaning family of Herod. Somehow was connected with the priesthood with the temple of Ashkelon. Now historically we know from Greco-Roman times, temple of Venus or Aphrodite of Ashkelon, it was the temple of celestial Venus, and it was a site of pilgrimage for Greco-Romans from all over the world in Ashkelon. So his father somehow was connected with that temple, and when Julius Caesar needed help when he was fighting against Pompeius in the triumvirats, Antipatris, an Edomian, not connected to Jerusalem, connected with Ashkelon, helped Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar never forgets his friends. And he installed Antipatris as de facto ruler of Provincia Judea.
Wow.
But he knew Julius Caesar that he would not be accepted. He's not Jew. The people in Jerusalem would raise up against him. So what they did, they brought one of the last Maccabean kings by the name of Orkanos. He was already old guy, Yohanan Orkanos. There are two Orkanos. There are two Yohanan Orkanos. So Orkanos was already an elderly gentleman. So he was installed as a high priest. But historically today we believe that he was a puppet of Antipatris. And the first thing he does, Antipatris, his son, Fatsael, governor of Jerusalem, his second son, governor of Galilee, and his second son was Herod the Great. So he is Edomian, converted to Judaism by the Maccabees, and then later on, when the change of power between Hellenistic and Roman times, Antipatris chose to help Julius Caesar, was the right decision, and installed as de facto the guy who actually make decisions in Jerusalem. So Orkanos becomes a puppet king, and whatever Antipatris decides,
He does.
exactly. So within this context, Herod becomes governor of Galilee. When he comes to Galilee, he is not accepted. The first day, a major rebellion against him at a place called Mount Arbel, north of Tveria. Herod kills a few hundreds of those, and he is brought to Jerusalem to court. But he wears purple robe, like king, and behaves like he doesn't care about Sanhedrin. Like he doesn't care about their judgment. One of the high priests approached him. He said, look, Sanhedrin is going to conclude for you death penalty because you killed some people in Galilee. So Herod is fleeing that night from Jerusalem with his familia. And eventually, during the same time, there is another rebellion in Judea under Pratian influence. And Antipatris and the Herodians are losing power. Now we are located in 40 BC. There is a temple in Jerusalem, but not the Herodian one yet. It's something from the times of Ezra and Nehemiah. So Herod and Orkanos is already without power. Fatsael was executed by the Pratians. Herod runs to Rome, and the greatest enemy of Rome at that time was Pratia, the Persian Pratian Empire. So Herod goes to Rome as governor of Galilee only, not as king of the Jews, and he asks Mark Antony, the lover of Cleopatra, to help him to be reinstalled as king of Judah, not governor of Galilee. Mark Antony needed support in the Orient, and he agrees. Of course, Nicolaus of Damascus was with him, and he agrees. And he is kind of crowned king of Judah at the same time when you had another guy being the king. His name was Matthetia Antigonos. He was brought by the Pratians and installed as a king in Jerusalem. So Herod is installed by Romans, but de facto he could not. Mark Antony sends Roman army together with Herod, and they're pushing away at Matthetia Antigonos. He is captured by the Romans and sent to be judged by Mark Antony. And Mark Antony was drunk during the judgment, and he decapitates the last descendant of the Maccabees, Matthetia Antigonos. From this point, Herod becomes sole ruler, basically, of Provincia Judea. Now, I want to explain why I'm giving you all this background. This palace, it's called Western Palace. So during the times of Herod the Great, we can divide his reign in two historical episodes. One, during the time when Mark Antony is emperor, and then Battle of Actium, 31 BC, and then Octavian Augustus. So when Mark Antony was in power, he was busy with Cleopatra, playing Isis and Dionysus. They were playing Greek gods, right? So Mark Antony had no time to Herod. So during this time, Herod had to pay lots of taxes to Mark Antony to basically supply his parties with wine and goods. Additionally, Mark Antony takes the area of the Dead Sea and give it as a present to Cleopatra. Cleopatra finally has access to Nitrat in the Dead Sea, direct access. By the way, they came from here. The access from Egypt will be from here, from Gaza. So during the reign of Mark Antony, Herod was a petty, small, unsecure king, always paranoid that he may be dethroned either by Maccabees, either by Romans. Battle of Actium, Herod aligned with Mark Antony against Augustus, but he didn't even send soldiers to help because he was fighting against the Nabateans during the Battle of Actium, which was a sea battle between Octavian Augustus and Mark Antony. Herod was fighting the Nabateans there, so he sent no help, but he did supported Mark Antony. But Mark Antony lost. So Herod, in the winter of 31 BC, takes a ship from from Jaffa to Alexandria, wintertime. From Alexandria to southern Italy, he arrives in front of Octavian Augustus, he removes his diadem, he lays it on the floor in front of the emperor and says, look, I knew you're gonna win. My God told us that you are gonna win the battle, but I was loyal to Mark Antony, so how can I betray him? So even I knew you're gonna win, I had to take the size of my emperor. And if you will allow me to be the king, I promise to be loyal as I was to Mark Antony.
Right.
Octavianus raised from his throne, took the diadem, and placed it on the head of King Herod the Great. And from this moment, Judea is removed taxes for 7 years, and Herod has the money and the power to build the Northern Palace, Caesarea, Temple Mountain, Temple of Jerusalem, and 13 other monuments all over the Roman Empire. If we compare monuments which were built by Herod in antiquity, it looks like Herod is the Roman emperor and Octavian Augustus is a client king. He have built more than Cleopatra and Octavianus together.
Yeah.
So he's considered the greatest builder in Jewish history, greater than Solomon, right? Now, why am I saying all those topics? Western Palace is built during the reign of Mark Antony. Northern Palace, the magnificent one, Octavian Augustus. So we can actually compare what founds, what architectors, what engineers were in a system of Herod by building those monuments. So again, Western Palace, Mark Antony period, Northern Palace, already from the times of
Wow.
just a few words about Herodian connection. Again, the first centuries BC.